we did presents, right? We did. I kind of told you that I've got your present. We gave Tyler his T-shirt. We're not going to do gift exchanges on the show, but I brought a gift.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I brought a gift. You want to see?
Yeah. What is it?
What's up?
We brought Mike Renner.
Hey.
It's like a full reunion show here.
That's right.
No one gave me the Christmas dress-up memo.
That's true. Right. We didn't give him the Christmas memo, but he's here.
Is that a Notre Dame jacket? This is Mike Renner, for those who don't know. I don't know who those are.
Have to blast it out after a dominant win over an Indiana team that shouldn't even been there. So
he's got Notre Dame jacket and Green Bay Packers T-shirt. He's full, Homer get-ups this morning.
Well, it's a good season. The owner of the Packers, big Notre Dame fan and alumni. Mike, welcome, man. What's going on? What are you doing over here?
I'm coming back. My in-laws soon-to-be in-laws live in Cincinnati, so I'm back for the holidays.
Congratulations.
Thank you. In-laws. Thank you. That's great.
What's your take on the college football playoff? Because everyone's like, right up until Tennessee lost, it was like, this is a joke. It should just be more SEC teams.
Yeah, well, see, I don't even think we should be arguing that. I think we should be arguing about the fact that Oregon got absolutely hosed by their draw. They're the number one team in the country, and they got a worse draw than Penn State, who they beat in the Big Ten title game. Penn State had to go play SMU, and then they play Boise, whereas Oregon now has to beat Ohio State and then probably Texas. And then to maybe face Georgia. They have to face probably the three best teams after them, whereas Penn State could maybe just sneak through by going SMU, Boise, Notre Dame. Like they're run so much easier. I think we're screwing the top teams by the format is the biggest thing. Debating who should be 12th doesn't even register. They shouldn't even be in. It should have been max 8. In my opinion, like 5 or 6 would have been better. I still maintain that 5 would have been the best because 5, you have a 4-team playoff that then goes and faces the number 1 team in the finals. That rewards being the best in the regular season more so than this. You just have to reward Oregon some way, shape, or form more than they did this year. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't get distracted by who should be number 12. Debate why we are not giving Oregon more deference for being the best team in the country for 13 weeks.
I like it. We need at least a reseed if they're going to keep it like this. Reseed and just kind of set it up for the best teams to be rewarded.
Reseed's great. Yeah.
I wasn't ready for the college football takes right off the top, but was a hot button issue this weekend with all the home teams winning.
A lot of people mad.
What else we got from Mike today? Is he helping us go game by game? It's all brought to you by Prize Picks, of course.
No, Mike. He's not here for the duration.
Later.
That's game 6.
What's that?
He's not here for the duration. I think we can keep him for a few minutes, and then he's got to, do things as opposed to sitting on our show for like 8 hours.
Yeah,
I do have a question, Mike. Though, are you just rolling in from the night, or are you awake nice and early?
What are you right now? I actually didn't even catch that last drive there of the Sunday Night Football. Got a nice 7-ish hours of sleep. No, not even 6 hours of sleep, and then we're here.
It was a crazy ending. Did you see that play?
Yeah, it was. I actually watched it on the way in, but I actually left my computer at the office. Was the real impetus behind being here.
Perfect.
I was watching the games last night.
Yeah, the show is, if anything, even longer now that we're out on our own.
You're not even if unconstrained this pod.
I mean, you were one of the.
It could be an 8-hour. It could be just like a live stream your lives.
Like you're one of the originals, right? You used to be a big part of this show, and you, I'm sure, are acutely aware of instructions from above to, for the love of God, make it shorter. And every step of the way, we've gone the opposite direction, and it only continues to grow.
You got to be you, and that's why you guys have been so successful. It makes me very happy to see how much you guys have grown over the years of the pod and to where it's at now. So
appreciate it, Mike, and likewise, you're over there flourishing with CBS Sports.
We're doing all right. We'll have a draft show on CBS Sports Network come spring. Make sure to follow me on X to find out when.
Yeah, Mike, promote all your stuff. Where can everybody find all your great work?
Oh, yeah, Pushing the Pile podcast, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. And I have a CBS Sports Network show on today, Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Matt Ryan is on today. Jonathan Jones is on. Going to break down Week 16, the playoff picture. But, yeah, then in the spring, I will have a 1-hour-long draft show weekly, post-combine on CBS Sports Network. You guys can find it.
On TV by yourself?
Yes, and not by myself. We'll have other people joining, but it'll be mostly your boy.
Why did you say that like it was a concerning thing? Mike left to run a television show all by himself.
Completely dependable. Mike's one of my favorites. We only poke fun at Mike. His work is great. And every time you're on our show, you've been on our show a few times now as a guest, talking draft and everything. People love it, so we appreciate having you.
No, thanks for having me, fellas.
It's funny how many, listeners, viewers, or whatever we have that that have been here since the time it was a 3-man booth with the three of us running, the PFF NFL podcast. It's wild how many of those people there are that do see this as a reunion show of like, hey, this is what I started listening to. God, how many years ago was that?
6.
Right. That's crazy.
The last time it was.
Well, yeah, the podcast. I mean, Sam and you and I have been on it forever, but it did go through different iterations. The 3-man booth. We had a host way back in the day. That's why we talked about Bobby and Zach as, being a part of the podcast. They were a big part of it for a while.
Yeah. Oh, Zach, is he going to get? Who gets head coaching job first, Zach or Bobby?
Zach after.
Zach's
poor old Bobby, I think, is experiencing the fickleness of the NFL. Yeah. It's like
he should have jumped on that.
Ago, right? This time a year ago, Bobby was like head coach candidate number 2, and now it's like, that guy sucks. Everyone hates him.
Mike, any NFL the Bobby thing brings up in my brain how their O-line has really struggled picking up stunts and pressures and everything, and that's just like an NFL trend to me. Mm-hmm. Any big NFL trends that have hit you this year?
Yeah, I think like looking towards the draft, there's a few things this year that I'm gonna more so take into account, and I think one's undersized edge guys, like Andrew Van Ginkel's, Chop Robinson from last year, but
Nick
Bonito, athletes, defensive line, versatile guys that can blitz, run stunts, because a lot of times on blitzes, stunts, slants, whatever, you're not winning one-on-ones. You're just like out-athleting. It's like, can you get there fast enough? So I think we're trending towards those guys becoming more valuable. And so like guys like Jalen Walker from Georgia, it's like, it might be a top 10 pick now because, maybe he's a tweener 10 years ago, but right now you can use that guy in a role, or people are using them in such a role that they're going to be more important.
That's where I've always said Trayvon Walker's at his best. When you free him up,
we just let him
unblocked. That's when he gets to use all that athleticism.
He should be a tight end, Trayvon. That's my.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He was so good with the ball in his hands.
Running back.
We've dropped that take already on the show.
Yeah,
like
unbelievable.
Jack, best place to put him. Ball carrier.
Right.
What else you got, Mike?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
How much time we have with Mike here before we have to hit on 15 games?
All right.
Acting like he's your dancing monkey. Like, come on, Mike. Give us a take.
I mean, I think the other thing is just like you have to have an offensive line now. If everyone's going to sit in too high, you just have to be able to have an offensive line.
This was funny as a year because I was like right on the cusp coming into this year of deciding that like the last several years, it's like all the Shanahan offenses, you're like, their offensive line sucks. Yeah. And yet it didn't matter ever. Like last season, you were like, Houston's offensive line is not good. And yet Stroud and Bobby rock up. And like, oh, look, doesn't matter. Miami, one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL on paper year after year. Mike McDaniel, fast. Now that one still holds a little bit. And Shanahan as well. And then this season, all three of them have been really struggling because of the offensive line. Like, oh, maybe it does still matter to have actual blockers capable of blocking people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a Philly, Detroit, KC, even like their interior.
Yeah.
Buffalo, one of the best O-lines in the league. O-line, if you just have that, chances are you have. So, like, just draft them. I think last year was the year to do it. Obviously, last year had so many more than this year, but you just need them. And you need to draft them because free agency is so fickle. I mean, obviously, you can do what Washington did, and it helps when you get a lot of guys playing above what their expectation was free agents, and that's, if you don't have them, for sure go out and buy them, but you just need to draft them nowadays.
Are we going to hear more about the value of the running back due to Saquon and Henry and Josh Jacobs and what they've done this year? You had an astute point a couple weeks ago about the market and how it's changed over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fallen off a cliff. It has cratered. And now I don't know. I think we've reached the point where they're as valuable. You can say they're at least as valuable as the contracts they're getting. Well, when you're getting as much as Gabe Davis, right, you're more valuable. Saquon is than Gabe Davis, or Derrick Henry is than Gabe Davis. So it's corrected. Now, do I still draft them top 10? If there's like a better player at a different position, I think the draft conversation is still a different animal. But definitely when guys are getting, and especially when contract lengths are like 3 years now, because contract lengths at running back used to be like, Adrian Peterson signed like a 5-year deal. And it was like 4 years before you could cut him. That was the biggest thing, when you're really just hamstrung by him. So if you get a guy and he's good, and you sign him to a 3-year deal where it's 2 years and then we'll see, and it's like a Josh Jacobs or a Christian McCaffrey, it's like, I think that's worth the risk if it's really just 2 years of it. Because, yeah, performance could fall off a cliff, but when you know he's already that good at the NFL level, it's like.
What is your overall takeaway from the running back performance this year? Because I know, like, you've got the same interesting backstory as we have in terms of where we came from and the kind of ideas that embeds in your head, and you're also not dumb, which means you're unlikely to be the kind of person that's saying, well, if you look at the records of the Green Bay Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Baltimore Ravens, and then compare it to the records of the 3 teams that those players left, you can see that running backs are all MVP candidates. So what is your actual takeaway from the performance of these guys?
It's still not – it has changed the value a touch that everyone's living in too high defenses, that it's so prevalent. And I mean just too high, but like even when they're playing single high, it's not as focused on the run. So it does change the calculus a little. Now, is it even close to a quarterback? No. Like it's like that's still absurd. If you're either putting Saquon Barkley first in the MVP conversation or not in your top 10, right? It's like there's no in between, because if it's actual value, he's not. He's just objectively not. But he is definitely worth far, far more than his current deal, in my opinion. And so it is a position that O-line you still want first. If you were to give me, can I get the best running back in the NFL or the best O-line in the NFL, it's like not even a debate. You still want the O-line first. You still need that first before you put that guy behind it. But they're far more valuable than even like an okay number 2 wide receiver, like the number 2 wide receivers that are getting paid at that, even like the $17 to $18 million level. I'd rather have that running back at this point.
Yeah, like I've described it before as, because the thing, everyone treats it as just a static constant, right? Like running back is worth X, but it's different depending on what's around the guy, right?
Yes.
So I think the thing that's changed for me is you look at a Saquon Barkley, and we kind of knew that this was going to happen anyway. Like you rewind to what everybody was saying, Saquon plus this Philadelphia offense was going to equal some really impressive success, right? Even with that expectation, it's exceeded it. And I think what you're seeing is that if you have the league's best offensive line and, Jalen Hurts at quarterback and a couple of good receivers and a really good defense, you plop a ridiculously talented running back into that environment, and it can absolutely turbocharge what you've got there to a degree that even I didn't necessarily think was going to happen.
Yeah, and that's why I say it doesn't necessarily change the draft conversation, because that was the argumentation for Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, right? But I do think you still struggle to evaluate who the best running backs are. It's still not such a cut and dry position that there are no misses. So you take them in the first round, the way people kind of argue for offensive line, which I would argue is probably easier to evaluate. The NFL has a better track record at O-line than they do at actually identifying who the best running backs were in the first round.
Just want the explosive running back. Even Devin Achane and, Bucky Irving, even though he didn't test well, explosive big play type of guys. Give me those guys.
Don't give me Rachaad White.
Rachaad White with the bad fumble. Bijan has the prettiest 14-yard runs in NFL history, though. I'm still begging Bijan to break off a 50-yarder. Feels like he's calibrated to have awesome 12-yard runs instead of dude, take it to the house. But we'll get there.
He's great.
Producers are begging us to get to the games here. Sam.
Okay, all right, get to the games. I'll tap out. It was great seeing you guys, though.
That was look. I'm not trying to kick you out.
No.
That was great.
Get to the games.
I think Mike actually has to do things in his day as opposed to just co-host the show for the next 12 hours.
Well, it was good to have Rudy on the show for the Christmas episode here. And Mike, you're free to drop by anytime. I don't care what our producers say. I don't care what Janko says. You're always welcome.
Thanks, Janko. Thanks, for Steve. Thanks, Sam.
Anytime, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing.
Take it easy.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.